right side. 3, 2, and 1. Great. On the left side. Oh, here we go. 3. Oh, learn perfect. Oh, learn perfect. Okay. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. All right. How's everybody doing? Great. Excellent. It's so good to see you. They set me up this year. You know how they set me up? They put me on after lunch. Now, how many of you as presenters know that's setting you up for failure? Because after lunch, what does your body do automatically? It's physiology. It what? Wants to go to sleep. Because your digestive system is pulling all that blood to digest that food. Well, we're going to make sure. Oh, you still want to introduce me?
No, you're doing good.
I talk fast, I walk fast, I drive fast, so stay out of my way on the street. But to ensure that you don't fall asleep, I want you to do something. Right now, get up on your feet. We're going to make sure you're awake. Everybody ready? Come on. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Put your right arm in, take your right arm out. Put your right arm in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Put your left leg in, take your left leg out. Put your left leg in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Put your whole self in and take your whole self out. Put your whole self in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Hokey pokey! And that has absolutely nothing to do with my presentation. I just wanted to wake you up. But now that I think about it, it does have a little bit to do with the presentation. We're talking about charging ahead. And that means, like our presenter said this morning, rocking the boat a little bit, shaking things up, swinging from left to right. So my presentation, charge ahead. You know what I'm talking about, bro? Somebody needs to exercise at home. Wow. Already. I need to change for real. So, rev up your personal and professional performance. We're going to charge right in because we've got a lot of juicy information to go through. Also, this coordinates with the theme for this year, Proud Legacy, Bold Future. Because in truth, each of us is a living, breathing, proud legacy. It took a lot for us to get to this great place where we are. And still yet, we want to have a bold future ahead. It's not about staying still. We're charging ahead, revving up our personal and professional performance. So I'm going to get you involved right now. Jumping right into the meat. We're going to go through a series of quotes that deal with charging ahead. And I'm going to get a volunteer to read each one. Don't worry about the author's name. Just tell us what it means and have a seat. We got that? Volunteer, read the quote, tell us what it means. Let's get started. Yes, ma'am. She's using her mic.
I've been wanting to do this all day. Yes, I want one in my office. Wait just a second. Things do not change, we change.
What does that mean?
Oh, I know how to do that. That means that, well, things are things. They don't have a mind, they don't have a a will, they don't have a thought process. We do. So we change with the environment that is around us, with the people we associate with the demands on our life, with the desires that we have for the future.
Very good. Let's give her a round of applause. Take a few seconds to read that next one. And who wants to share? Just hit your mic. You got it. Just move it to your lips and hit that button. Oh, yes. Let's go, Nancy.
I thought this would work, but anyway, the man who views the world at 50, same as he did at 20, has wasted 30 years of his life.
What does that mean?
The world is constantly changing, and you need to change with it in order to keep up and to realize that that every day is a change and a continuum. I mean, if you look at this morning driving to work, it was a little darker than it was yesterday morning, and it's going to be the same tomorrow and so forth. So life changes, and you need to keep up, or you're going to be wasting your life.
Very good. Our next one.
The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are.
And that means?
For me, it's a thought process. I know what I'm doing today. I know where I want to be, so I need to figure out the steps that I'm going to take in order to get where I need to be.
Very good. Let's give her a round of applause. She said before that every ending is a beginning. Every beginning is an ending. When you're starting something new, that necessarily means that you're ending something old. Next quote. Read it and share.
Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect. And that basically tells me that you cannot succeed and never succeed if you're not going to move forward and you start doing something.
Very good. I think Nike says, just do it. Next, who wants to share?
We must realize that our future lies chiefly in our own hands. And that means we are in charge of our future. It's up to us to develop.
Very good. Let's give a round of applause. I love terrorism, by the way. Next, who wants to take this one on? Yes.
So even if you're on the right track, you get run over and just sit there. So the speed of change today is just increasing. And one of the things that we look at what's important in leadership today is speed. So being able to change quickly and to set a direction and move forward in a way that is going to get you there before the other things that are coming to overtake you. Because there's always forces pulling you back to the way you used to be or the things you used to do. You have to keep moving, otherwise you're going to kind of slide back and be the same way you felt.
Very good. You have to break loose, and sometimes that takes some speed. You have to be quickly adaptable. And this one, it's kind of long, but it's really clear. Who wants to share this one? Jump on right in. And ladies, y'all can come down. We've got a few seats over here, and we've got a few seats here. You better be glad you're not in my classroom. Who's sharing? Let's go. Back row? Yes, you. Thank you. No, it's you. Yeah, great.
Every single cell in the human body replaces itself over a period of 7 years. That means there's not even the smallest part of you now that was part of you 7 years ago.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So to me, it basically says to me that every day, every part of our body is changing.
And also in kind, not only every part of our physical bodies, but mentally and every part of our lives as well is changing. Thank you. Let's give it a round of applause. I find that to be a very empowering statement. Like, wow, I'm always renewing and rejuvenating. That's very invigorating to me. And it just like opens up the possibilities for my life, that every day can be brand new. I think we've got two more. Who's going to read this one for us? The dude I like so much, you're so nice, you
that really what it's saying is that the person that you want to be, strive to be every day is probably the most important goal in life.
Fantastic. Let's give him a round of applause. Full self-actualization is the most important goal in life. Fantastic. And the last one, who's going to take us out? Go right ahead.
If you always do what you've always did, you'll always get what you always got. I think that means if you don't have any expectation, you never get to, you always get what you currently are. You gotta have some type of expectation to kind of meet the next goal or meet the next mark in life. So if you don't put forth any expectation, you never get anywhere.
Very good. You did a fantastic job. And in all of those quotes, what is reiterating is that everything upgrades. Everything. Beyonce had that song, "Let Me Upgrade You." I guess in her world, upgrade, you know. But everything upgrades. Nature, books, cars. Right now we're going through a change in nature. Leaves are falling off the trees. It's cooler in the morning. Books, you have new editions. Please don't pull out that geography book from the time when you were in high school. It's out of date now. Cars, new models on the lot every year. Maybe not in your driveway, but every 4 or 5 years. But everything upgrades. And the next thing we want to remember, you're either growing or you're dying. Like it said, your cells are rejuvenating every 7 years. And I also heard this minister once say that there's no such thing as standing still. The earth is rotating. So even if you're standing still and the earth is rotating, the net effect is that you're doing what? Going backwards. So you're either growing or dying. Don't fool yourself and say, I'll just stay the same. You're not staying the same because the world is moving past you, which means the net effect would be you're going backwards. The next thing we want to remember, we can command our growth. As she said, our future lies chiefly in our own hands. You don't have to wait for the start of a new year. You don't have to wait for your next birthday. You don't have to wait for something tragic to happen in your life. You don't have to wait for something great from the outside to happen in your life. You can command your change anytime you want, including right now. And the last one, the personal and professional are linked. That's why I put them together. The best people, this is what I believe. Who we are impacts the quality of what we are. The best people are the best lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs. If you're rude and mean as an individual, when you go into your office, if you're an accountant, guess what? You're going to be rude and mean in that position. If you're nice, kind, considerate as a person, when you go in as a teacher, you're going to be nice, kind, and considerate in that role. You can't escape who you are. So it would behoove us to better the who. If you become a better person, you will automatically, necessarily also become a better lawyer, doctor, Indian chief. So that's why you're here. That's why we have this particular workshop. Now let's look to the steps of an upgrade. 3 simple steps. I like 3s. Y'all gonna find that out. 3 simple steps. 1, acknowledge how far you've come. That proud legacy. 2, be deliberate and decide how you will change. Not haphazard, not just waiting for it to happen. And 3, match your outer world to your internal vision. You know what you want on the inside, match it up to what's on your outside, or match your outside up to your internal vision. And my final admonishment on this slide, don't let your phone upgrade for you. Mine won't. because we want to give ourselves credit for where we are. When you're looking to move ahead, you don't want to just beat yourself over the head like, oh, you're such a worthless person. Oh, you should be doing better than you are now. Paulette, you shouldn't be so fat. You know what? Let's acknowledge and give ourselves credit for how far we've come. This step validates where we are. This step also affirms that growth is possible because we've grown in the past to get to this point, and it also inspires us to continue growing. So with that analogy of the phone in mind, not letting our phones upgrade before we do, I want you to think a little bit more about your cell phone. And the many numerous iterations the cell phone has gone through. Right now, the iPhone is coming out with what? 7. Yet another upgrade, starting from number 1. Now, all of us have iPhones and Androids now, but before then, everybody was using a what? A Crackberry, a Blackberry. You know what? They just stopped making that. But at one point, it was the cat's meow. And my point with this slide is, let's recognize the growth that naturally takes place and also the need for growth. Because you can think back to the Blackberry and how everyone wanted one. It was the most phenomenal thing for its time period. But now it no longer fits. So you may have been at your height professionally and personally, but guess what? It's not good enough for now. Just like everything else has progressed and moved forward you as well have to move forward. The onus is always upon you. There is no sitting still. So I want you to see yourself as you're looking back and acknowledging how far you've come, the different iterations you've come through. You know, I like to move the dance. Okay, okay. So Paulette 1.0, Paulette 2.0, Jan 1.0. Let's look at the different phases. And I'll give you an example of what you're going to do in this first step. Paulette 1.0, me going to college. That represented a big movement ahead for me. It was me getting out of the little town of Eastover. I moved to Washington, D.C. That's a big change, right? That's movement forward. It represented me not being with my parents anymore. I was with my oldest brother. He didn't care when I went and came. So that level of independence was a big change. Significant point for movement ahead. So I put that as Paulette 1.0 because it represented a time period in my life, something that happened that progressed me forward. And I just gave it a simple title, Going to College, and underneath it, I listed the significant things that were going on at that point. What that time period represented. Such as, I met a new challenge, I discovered the adult version of me, and I also developed independence. Number 2, me getting my corporate job. Not working at the office supply store, not working at the ice cream parlor. I was working at Anderson Consulting, it's now called Accenture. That was a big deal. Big movement forward. Huge change for me mentally, physically. Every kind of way you can think of. And what that represented, or the significant things at that time, I accomplished a new work level. I had to keep up with international co-workers. And I also got my driver's license. It's a late bloomer. And Paulette 3.0, I moved back home. I left the sprawling metropolis of D.C. and came back to the woods and dirt roads of Eastover. Pray for us. No. But it was a time I felt compelled on holiday, talked to my nieces and nephews and my cousins, and I was so distraught, so discouraged after hearing them tell me that they were getting C's and D's and F's in school. And then when I said those were bad grades, one of my cousins chirped in, he said, well, Paulette, I did get a C. So I said, a C is not a good grade. And they burst out laughing. All of them. They thought that was so funny that I said a C was not a good grade. They were laughing, but what I realized was that the joke was on them. And I felt guilty for living this life where it was getting better and better, but at home it was getting worse and worse. So I felt compelled to move home. And what that represented, I attained a new spiritual level. I started living my life off the blueprint because that was not in my plans to come back to Eastover. Trust me when I tell you, I was going to be the CEO of Time Warner. I was going to work for Accenture for 2 years just because I kind of had to in order to get into NYU. I was going to get my JD, MBA, corporate law, and get my master's in business. I already had my undergraduate in accounting. And then I was going to become a corporate lawyer at Time Warner. And then I was going to seamlessly move over to the business side and work my way up to CEO. Had nothing to do with being in Eastover. So I developed a new level of courage. Everybody understand this activity? Now it's your turn. I'll give you 7 minutes, bullet points. Bullet point out 3 significant stages in your life that represented growth moving ahead. Just keep in mind the analogy of the cell phone. How those iterations changed and got better in each successive iteration. All right, let's share. And when you share, only share what you feel comfortable sharing. All right, you don't have to read us the whole thing, and we're not going to look at it. This exercise, like all of them, is for you, okay? So, but we do benefit, we do all benefit when individual members share. So when you share, you can give us one thing or the title from each of your different versions, one thing from each, or maybe you just want to focus on one particular phase. And you look like someone who went to school with me in Eastover. Angie, yeah, you look like Angie, Lord, I should know their last name, Anderson. So if you would share, I'd appreciate it.
Well, version 1, going to college, I kind of piggybacked off of you a little bit, gaining independence and balancing priorities. My point of was finding my first job as a 911 dispatcher, running through tax work from my personal life. And version 3 was becoming a mom and discovering the true meaning of love and added responsibility.
Very good. Let's give a round. It's amazing how much this exercise jogs your memory. And you can appreciate it and say, hey, you have come a long way, baby. All right? Who wants to share next? Is that you? Oh, yes, in the back. Let's go.
Version 1, college, found my voice and emerged as a leader. Version 2, I moved back home with my father in his ministry and got a job. 31 years ago, I'm still working here at SCANNA. Got married, had 2 children. My version 4 was one of those, sometimes versions aren't as good as the one. In version 4 for me, I experienced the death of my son and the death of my husband. But then I became a super mom because I had my daughter and I found out I mentioned that. And I am now walking in version 5. My daughter is in graduate school. I've rediscovered my passion for women in the Bible. I've written a play. I've had it produced. And I have found out I'm very strong.
Oh, very good. Fantastic. Now, those were great shares. And always when we hear others share, I get so encouraged with the strength of the human spirit. Because we do go through things. And sometimes even if we don't go through things that are traumatic, it does show a lot of growth in people moving and increasing happen right now. And lastly, you've made significant strides in the past. Let's keep the upgrades going. Moving forward. Step number 2, be deliberate and decide how you will change. There's a quote by Glenda Cloud that says, change is inevitable. Growth is intentional. It's not haphazard, it's not lackadaisical, and it's not by chance. It's deliberate. Think about any person you admire or respect for what they're doing in life, who they are, or what they're accomplishing. They didn't fall to that level. They strove, they climbed to get to that level. I don't care if it's a singer, I don't care if it's a minister, I don't care if it's a business leader, whoever it is, Zig Ziglar didn't fall into being the #1 speaker of the world. He worked hard for that. It was intentional. So that means you too must be intentional about your growth. You're going to change, that's inevitable. But you have to be intentional to grow. So when we look at this, what it puts me in mind of when I get ready to change, when I get ready to move into that next great version of Paulette, in my transitioning from Paulette 3.0 to 4.0, I think about the fact that I want to clear out the space in my mind and be unlimited as I decide the new path that I'm charting. And it's analogous to me to an interior decorator. All right? And with an interior decorator, they choose and they lose. They go into people's homes, they take a look at a room, they get an idea of where those homeowners want to go, how they want to use that space, and they choose and lose. The first thing they do is what? Clear it all the way out. And they choose what they're going to put in, and they decide what they're going to throw away. We're going to do the same thing through a simple exercise. So I ask that you bear with me as you close your eyes. Go ahead, everybody, trust me. Close your eyes and pinch the person next to you. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Save the rules as can preclude us from doing such. Don't do that. But seriously, close your eyes. Did somebody actually pinch somebody? No. But seriously, close your eyes and let's clear out. Close your eyes and I want you to imagine a cool breeze blowing through your entire body as you inhale and exhale. I want you to imagine that this cool breeze, inhale, exhale, is blowing out of you all of the labels you have associated with yourself. Inhale and exhale. I want you to imagine, inhale and exhale. As this cool breeze blows through your body, you see yourself, inhale and exhale, as an empty vessel ready to be filled. Now open your eyes. You have a clear space, a blank slate on which to choose and decide what that next great version of you will look like. You can paint anything on this canvas. There's no yellow background or brown background. It's absolutely clear. There's nothing that is identifying or limiting you as anything. The options are infinite. If you could choose any way or anything you could be next, what would that be? What would your life look like next? Build-A-Bear, where you decide what goes in. You're building that next great version of yourself. And back to the example of the cell phone. When Apple decides to put out a new version of the iPhone, they think very hard about what that next version is going to be like. I want you to give yourself the same level of respect. This is the life that you have. Okay? So you're going to choose and lose. Here's my example of what I choose. Now, when I say choose and lose, I'm talking about ways of being. I'm talking about maybe what you're doing with your life. I'm talking about your character traits, what type of person you want to be. And so I choose confidence, boldness, my smile, openness, my business, my mom. I'm a caretaker. My mom has Alzheimer's and she lives with me. That was a deliberate decision. And I choose financial security. That's what I want my life to be like. The next great version of me, if I were to step outside of myself and look back at, that's what I want to see. What I lose, impatience, don't want it there. Anger, yeah, I can get angry. I know I'm smiling and stuff, I can get good. Like I said, I can get big mad. So I want to lose anger, unforgiveness, because that's self-defeating, self-doubt, fear, negative siblings. Yes, I have hired a hitman. And procrastination. What does your choose and lose look like? As you plan that version 5.0, what is that like? 7 minutes. Let's go.
Your smile, and I think just stopping to be intentional about having joy-filled days is very important.
Fantastic. What about a lose?
False barriers to success.
Fantastic. Let's get that one. You're going to have to share a choose and a lose. Right here, gentleman. Right here.
Okay, so I choose to serve others, and I'd like to lose maybe some of the ego.
Okay. Very transparent. For him to share that, Ron talked about being transparent and how that helps you to be a better presenter, a better trainer. Thank you for sharing, Joe. Who else wants to share? Yes, ma'am.
I choose to love, live in the moment.
Fantastic. You have to be intentional about it.
And if I do all of those things, then that will help me to lose fear and worry.
Do we have one other person who wants to share? Well, a few of you did. Let's get all of them. One share of choose, one lose. You're doing good on time.
Okay, but I would like to choose friendship building and network building and creating a larger circle of family and friends. And I choose to lose any rigidity.
Let's give her a round of applause. It's so funny because she started my, what's the word? She jogged my memory. My dad once told me I was rigid. Can you believe
I've been
that?
told that, I will talk about it.
Oh, let's get your share.
I choose to be a liability with other people to help them achieve their goals. It's like it's just been about me. I think you go through that path quite often, so just building ladders for other people to climb instead of climbing my own ladder. And I choose to lose rushing through life, taking my time to just enjoy the moment.
I choose to move forward personally and professionally, and what I want to do is move back and to move forward. To improve our move forward, not back.
Very good. Your future does not live in the rearview mirror. I've heard that saying before. So rev up reminders for step number 2. Be deliberate with your self-improvement. It won't just happen. Nextly, you must decide what you truly desire and what you don't. You have to look at both. What do I desire and what do I not desire? And lastly, a clearing out helps you to see the possibilities. Clear out the past labels and also clear out the judgment. And just give yourself the free rein path to grow. And I must say that I'm surprised that no one chose to lose weight. That's a no. Number 3, match your outer world to your internal vision. Now some of you may remember the song, okay, and I'm going to qualify this, I do not know how to sing, but I'm going to sing anyway. One of these things just doesn't belong here. One of these things is not the same. One of these things just doesn't belong here. Now it's time to play our game. It's time to play our game. Name that tune from where? No, the other one. Electric Company. Yeah! Electric Company, for you young folks, was the best kids show on TV. And they had this. Make it your ringtone. And so this call just doesn't belong here. This person just aggravates me. But the electric company had this segment where they would divide the screen into 4. And they would put different objects in each box of the 4. So you might have a basketball, a volleyball, a football, and a shoe. And you had to decide as a kid how to categorize things. So which thing did not fit? The same is true for you as an adult. You have to learn to categorize things. What doesn't fit in your world? What doesn't match up with that internal vision you have for where you're going next? When I was 12 years old or 10 years old, a size 5 shoe probably did fit. But now as a 45-year-old woman, that no longer fits. As you continue to progress, as you prepare to materialize into that next great version, some things don't fit. Like with that iPhone, what doesn't fit on the iPhone 7? No headphone jack. Now they were ridiculous for that, and they know good and well we need a headphone jack on the phone. But they got rid of it. Do you remember when the computer got rid of the floppy disk drive? I got a new CPU and there was no floppy disk drive. Things progress is, right? An oak tree is one of the most beautiful, biggest, strongest, wonderful trees in the world. And it started as a little old acorn. And from that acorn, it manifested into a beautiful tree. So that means that inside that tiny little acorn was the potential for an oak tree. You want to make sure that that tiny little vision that you have for the next great version of yourself manifests into an oak tree. And that means that acorn has to be in the right environment. I have an oak tree in my backyard. And there are a lot of acorns on the ground that are not manifesting into oak trees because they're not in the ground planted. So they don't have soil. They're not going to get water and they're not going to get sunlight. They're not going to get those three things together in order to create the oak tree. Thank goodness. Don't need a million oak trees in my backyard. Same thing is true for you in that vision of how you see yourselves next. It's not going to come to fruition if it doesn't have the necessary ingredients to nurture it to the next stage. Everybody with me on that? So, you have to identify your oak tree growers and your acorn crushers. The people, places, and things that help you to materialize the next great version of yourself, as well as those people, places, and things that will crush your vision to dust. My example, oak tree growers. You can look up there, I have it listed in people, places, and things. Positive siblings, business owner friends, the library, the business, the small business development center. If I'm going to get all of those things that I said I choose for the next great version, financial books, NPR shows, uplifting music, wealth building DVDs, I have to be deliberate about matching up my outer world to my internal vision. You understand that? Acorn crushers. You know, people who are dream killers, or if they're not dream killers, they pull you off the path to going to the next spot. Places that don't contribute to your growth, but that serve to hinder it. If I'm going to Columbiana Center every Saturday, that doesn't lend itself to me growing wealth. That lends itself to me growing somebody else's wealth. And the things, and when I say things, I talk about objects. What do I have listed by things? Objects, activities, and groups. If you want to be healthier, cigarettes may not be a part of the equation. If you want to be healthier, the gym may be, or working out may be a part of the equation. So I'll give you 3 minutes, because we're running out of time, to fill that out, and then we'll have a couple of people share, and then we will wrap up. Here we go, 2 minutes. Make sure you put something at the top and the bottom so you can share. For those of you like Paul who are going to share next. Right, Paul? I'm going to let you slide because you have my name. Okay, good. But is it good to do? Excellent. of old versions, I have like a version 2.0 of the iPod Touch, and it won't keep the time, it's like 8 minutes fast. So I'm always like, I'm on time, we can subtract 253 minus 8 minutes. If it were 10 minutes, it would be so much easier, but, all right, and that is time. Who's gonna share one of their oak tree growers and one of their acorn crushers? Come on, quickly so we can finish up. Who's gonna share? Just one and one. Sounds like you. Thank you, beautiful. Share one of your oak tree growers and one of your acorn crushers.
I have people who match and help, members of my work team, and my husband. Things that crush, same thing.
Fantastic. One more person, please, to share. One oak tree grower, one acorn crusher. Yes, thank you.
Grower is my father,
Your father is an oak tree grower, positive.
and then a crusher is Kid Crush.
Figuratively and literally. Okay, excellent. Let's thank them for sharing. Wrap up reminders for step 3. You want to align your exterior world with your interior vision in order to materialize the next great version of you. Secondly, this is important. Your environment will either foster or hinder your growth. Everything and everybody makes an impact. Nobody is neutral. No activity is neutral. It's either moving you forward towards your decided upon next great version, or it's moving you away from it. And thirdly, you, Y-O-U, are most important. Be the best friend, chief advocate, and fiercest protector of your highest self. And let that oak tree materialize. So I say thank you very much. Don't give up.